What's going on, guys? So I wanted to revisit this Slava Tank watch I got. And again, I want to do this because I wasn't able to find out a lot of information on this. So if anyone else is looking this watch up in the US, I want to be able to, at least find some information on it from a whatever perspective you would think this is. So I've had this watch for about a month, and I'll try to do some updates. I know a month is not a long time, maybe a month and a half I've had it. So this watch came from Russia. I ordered it from a website called Meronome.com. And if you guys, I told the story when I unboxed this watch in my other video. So this watch came straight from Russia, okay? And this is an automatic watch, automatic movement watch with a day date, okay? This is a Slava Tank, all right? So here's the watch. And you guys can see it's a big watch, and I'm not going to unbox it. I did the unboxing already in the other video. I just kind of wanted to give you guys my thoughts. And let's go through a couple of the measurements. You guys, this is a big watch. It's a heavy watch, and it's a shiny watch, okay? Okay. So let's see. Phone's having trouble. $22.5. All right. So how big is this guy? So it's got this face. It's like a step, right? So this is called a tank, and there's another model that looks similar called the televisor, the TV. So for the face, that's step. We're looking at about 36.5 millimeters by 30. But then the whole, you've got this, it's like the dial part is, this case is part of the dial. It wraps around. It really looks beautiful. It looks very nice, but it kind of makes it hard to know where to measure from. So again, I've got a 7.5-inch wrist, you guys, and this is what it looks like. Okay, so now this clasp, it only goes in a certain way. Again, I talked about some of this stuff in my first video. So you guys have this upper and then this lower, right? So if you guys put this on, you won't be able to put this on, all right? So it's got a clasp like this first, this second. 7.5-inch wrist. Don't roast me. Don't roast me. So it's a big watch, and like I said in the other video, it doesn't wear as big as it looks. So when you're holding it and when you're looking at it, it looks really big and heavy, and it is, but when you're wearing it on your wrist, it actually doesn't feel like it's a huge, heavy watch. So, when I watched reviews about this thing in Russian, they were saying it's not like an everyday watch, and I would somewhat agree. Because I have been wearing this as an everyday watch, and you can do it. The biggest gripe I've had is about that specific issue is that this bracelet is just so shiny. It looks so nice that it's so easy to like scuff it up and make it. These locusts are killing me. It's so easy to like scuff up and mark up the bracelet, and you always want to, it's just such a shiny steel, 904 steel, right? It's just, and so on the back here, you can see the movement. This is the old Slava 2427 movement. So here's the information about this watch. So in the first video I did, I said that, it may not actually be worth, it was $1,333, plus I paid $70 for the DHL. And I said it may not actually be worth the money. And now I've kind of am changing my stance a little bit. It depends on what you guys value. So most of these movements, so these Slava movements were produced back in the Soviet days, okay? Slava 2427 in Russia, right? And after the wall came down and after Soviet era was over, those factories closed down. It was a completely different world, a completely different time for Russia, right? So a lot of those factories closed down, people went away, lost their jobs or moved out or whatever. So basically, this company was able to find backstock in Germany of about 20,000 of these movements. And they purchased those, and that's what they're using for these limited edition watches, is their old Slava 2427 movement. So this is an original Russian movement that gets reworked and cleaned up when it's time to place an order, when it's time to do an order, and it gets put into this watch. And if you listen to some of the reviews on it in Russian, it's blacked out like this because I guess this movement, back in the day, they weren't really making them for open back cases, so it's not the most good, nice looking movement, so to speak. So that's why the movement is blacked out on the back. So that's something interesting because in these newer watches, once they run out of these movements, this company Slava is going to be using Miyota movements and a different Russian movement, Vostok. Okay, so I don't know what that does to the value of this watch. On the one hand, having this Slava movement for me personally raises the value of the watch for me. It makes me want to have it more because it's a limited edition movement. They don't have a lot of these anymore. And once they're out, they don't make them anymore, right? So to me, it's like, okay, cool. At the same time, if you guys just want something that's going to run that you don't need to worry about at all on a day-to-day, this may, it may bother you. And you may say it's a niche movement that's 30 years old that they've reworked. It was new 30 years ago. They've reworked it and put it out. Where am I going to get this serviced? What am I going to do with it? And that might bother you. For me personally, collecting watches, looking for watches that are more unique, I love this. Okay, so it's got the red on the crown. The crown pulls out one position, and then you set the watch like this. Okay. Like that. So for me, a couple of the things that I dislike and that I've noticed. So, okay. So back to the movement. So the movement is Slava 2427, comes from Russia. This is the older movement. And the cases, what they're doing with the steel bracelet and the case is they're getting these from China now. Okay, so they're partnering with a company or a vendor in China to make the bracelets and the face and the outside external, and then the internal on these limited editions. So this is one of 500, is a Slava 2427 movement. So, do with that what you will. Just because it's made in China does not make it a worse quality product necessarily. China makes cheap products, China makes good products, just like everybody else does. And there's a ton of watch companies that do this exact kind of thing, that, partner with companies. And, we seem to think that when it says Swiss made or something, we picture this like old master with one arm that's the only guy in this factory that is making these watches, and only he knows how to make them. A lot of these are collaborations and yada yada yada, right? So do with that what you will. So the movement is from Russia, the old Russian limited edition movement, Slava 2427. The case comes from China, and the outside, the externals, comes from China. So, okay, weight on this big guy. 189 grams, so pretty heavy watch. And it feels heavy, okay? So what you have, you set your time right here, and then the time and date. So I've noticed a couple of things I dislike. So the bracelet, when I first put it on, it kind of squeaked a little bit, a tiny bit. I could hear it. And as I keep wearing the watch on a daily basis, I stopped noticing it as much. But I did notice a very slight, tiny squeak. So for a $1,300, $1,400 watch, that's something to be mindful of. Another thing I dislike is the bracelet does this thing I hate, and some watches don't do it, but it pulls the hair of my wrist sometimes, occasionally. Not always, not bad, not enough to be a deal breaker, but I do notice it, and it does happen. It is what it is. I overall love this watch. I am happier with my purchase now than I was when I first bought it. That doesn't mean it doesn't have some gripes and pitfalls. So for me, the one thing I noticed mainly is the date doesn't always roll over. So when you go to on its own, the watch updates as it's running, and then the day rolls over. I love that it's this Russian alphabet, by the way, right? Like this, a lot of times it'll just stick and it won't. Right there it did, okay? But it won't always. So That's one thing I don't like is sometimes if you're not using the watch, if you're not watching it, you'll wake up and go and look and see and see that the date is like in the middle and it's a white spot and the date didn't change over. So that's one thing you guys have to be mindful of, and I don't know if that what that does to your opinion of the movement. Okay, so we got the weight, we got the measurements. About 15 thick. And this glass, again, this glass is a sapphire crystal glass. In here, you have a button that you press, and you can use a toothpick. You can use your nail if your nail stands out at all. And so over here on the other side, you've got this limited edition, number 45 of 500. All right. On the back, open movement. It says 904 steel. Everything's written in Russian. Tank, 2427, made in Russia. 10 ATM water resistant, so I wouldn't go swimming or diving with this thing. All right. Okay, so let's hook this thing up. Overall, again, was this worth the purchase? I bought it for $13.33 plus I paid $70 for DHL shipping. I would say to me, this was absolutely worth the purchase. If you are someone who values maybe the technical aspect of the watches, is it going to be worth your time? I don't know. Watches are a very interesting conversation, and people have different reasons and different things they value. I know on Reddit someone told me this watch isn't worth the money, but for me, if I can't find this exact watch somewhere, and this is the watch that I want, and this is the look that I want, then obviously it's worth the money to me, because where else am I going to get it if I can't get it here, right? Okay, so let's hook this up and let's test. On. Now I need to Google Slava 2427 lift angle. 49 for the lift angle. $49. Okay. There's the auto detect. Guys want to hear it? So we let it run. You know, it's interesting because what do you guys think? Do you guys want your watch to be the absolute most accurate? Do you value the movement, or do you value the uniqueness of it? Because something I was thinking about the other day, I was on these Russian watches and I found this Chaikin watch, Konstantin Chaikin, and it was like, you know, $50,000 or whatever, the equivalent of in euro. And it's got this movement and it's got this hourglass in it, and a movement is one of one. And I got to thinking, and I'm like, so would I rather have a watch, a regular watch, with like an ETA movement or a Miyota movement, or do I want something unique, you know, that I know that I can go service, that's easier? Is that worth more than having something unique that maybe is one of one, or something that a lot of other people don't have? I don't know. At the end of the day, we're spending money on jewelry. So there you guys see 10 seconds fast per day this thing runs. 0.5 beat error is 0.5. That's fine. 214 is a little bit low for the amplitude, but okay. Let's try it in a different angle here. So 10 seconds a day is, you know, do with that info what you will. 10 seconds fast per day. $11 seconds per day. So right around 11 seconds per day fast this thing runs. So do with that info what you guys will. I just wanted to revisit this so you guys get some more info on this Slava Tank watch. You've done your job. Thank you, my friend. You have done your job. The Slava Tank. This is a limited edition watch. Here it is, you guys. Thank you as always for tuning in. We're going to have more videos.